It was just after 3 in the morning when the rhythmic sound began. A soft, repetitive tapping echoed from somewhere within the old house. For the first few minutes, Mark tried to ignore it. He was house-sitting for his parents, who were on vacation for the first time in years. The house, built in the early 1900s, was known for its creaks and groans. A draft, he told himself, an old pipe settling. He rolled over, pulling the pillow over his head, but the sound persisted, a patient, deliberate beat. Tap, tap, tap. It wasn't the sound of a pipe. It was sharper, more distinct. It sounded like a single finger, tapping against a window pane. Annoyed, Mark sat up. The guest room he was in faced the backyard. The tapping seemed to be coming from the main floor, directly below him. Maybe a branch was hitting the kitchen window. He slipped out of bed, his feet cold on the hardwood floor. The house was shrouded in an oppressive darkness, the kind you only find in rural areas far from city lights. As he crept down the hallway, the tapping stopped. Silence. He paused on the landing, listening. Nothing but the low hum of the refrigerator. He let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He was just overtired, his imagination running wild in the unfamiliar quiet. He was about to turn back when he heard a new sound, a faint metallic scraping from the basement. His blood ran cold. This was different. This wasn't a natural house sound. It was the sound of something being dragged across the concrete floor. Mark's father was meticulous about security. All doors and windows were locked. No one should be in the house. He tiptoed down the stairs, his heart hammering against his ribs. The scraping sound was louder now, coming from behind the heavy oak door that led to the cellar. He reached the bottom of the stairs, his hand hovering over the light switch, his mind racing. Was it a raccoon that had somehow gotten trapped? A stray animal? He flicked the switch. Nothing happened. The power was out, but only for the basement light. Every other light in the house worked. Scraping stopped again, plunging the ground floor into an even deeper silence. Mark backed away from the basement door, a primal fear taking hold. He fumbled for his phone in his pocket, his fingers shaking as he turned on the flashlight. He pointed the beam at the basement door, and that's when he saw it. At the bottom of the door, where the wood met the floor, was a dark, wet stain. It was small, but it was spreading. A thick, dark liquid was slowly seeping from underneath the door. It wasn't water. It was too dark, too viscous. As he watched, frozen in place, a single long scratch appeared on the inside of the door, as if a nail was being dragged down the wood from the other side. He didn't wait to see what happened next. He ran, out the front door, into the cold night, not stopping until he reached his car. He called the police from a mile down the road. When they arrived and searched the house, they found nothing. The basement was empty. The power to the light was working perfectly, but the scratch on the inside of the door was there. The lab tests confirmed the dark stain on the floor was blood, but it wasn't human, and it wasn't from any known animal. To this day, Mark has never set foot in that house again after dark. Our next account comes from a pair of long-haul truck drivers, Dave and Rick, on a desolate stretch of highway in the Nevada desert. It was the dead of night, the road illuminated only by their headlights cutting through the inky blackness. They had been driving for hours, the hypnotic rhythm of the road lulling them into a state of weary concentration. Suddenly, Dave, who was driving, slammed on the brakes. Standing in the middle of the road, bathed in the truck's high beams, was a child. A little girl, no older than 7 or 8, wearing what looked like a simple white dress. She was just standing there, motionless, staring directly at them. Rick grabbed the radio. "What is a kid doing out here?" "There's nothing for 100 miles in any direction." Dave slowly eased the truck forward. The girl didn't move. She just watched them approach, her expression unnervingly blank. As they got closer, they could see her more clearly. Her dress was clean, almost pristine, which made no sense in the dusty environment. Her feet were bare. She had no shoes. Dave stopped the truck about 50 feet away and honked the horn. The girl didn't even flinch. "This is wrong," Dave muttered, his hands gripping the steering wheel. "This is really wrong." He flashed his high beams, but her expression remained unchanged. She just stood there, a small, pale figure against the vast, dark desert. They decided they couldn't just leave her. Rick climbed down from the cab, calling out, "Hey, are you okay? You lost?" The girl didn't respond. She simply tilted her head, a slow, unnatural movement. A chill went down Rick's spine. It took a hesitant step toward her, and that's when it happened. Her eyes, which had seemed normal from a distance, turned completely black. Not just the pupils, but the entire eye, sclera and all. 2 solid orbs of pure darkness. Rick froze, a guttural fear seizing him, stumbled back toward the truck, shouting at Dave to go. As he scrambled back into the cab, the girl opened her mouth, not to speak, but wider and wider, in a way that was anatomically impossible, her jaw unhinging like a snake's, a silent, gaping black hole. Dave didn't need any more convincing. He threw the truck into gear, swerving around her, and floored it. For a terrifying minute, they could see her in the side mirror, still standing in the same spot, her mouth still impossibly wide. Then, she was gone. They drove for 2 straight hours without saying a word. When they finally pulled into a truck stop, they were both pale and shaken. They never reported it. Who would have believed them? But for the rest of their careers, neither of them would ever drive that stretch of Nevada highway after the sun went down. This final story takes place in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was a Tuesday night, around 2 a.m. Sarah was awakened by the sound of her doorbell ringing. Not once, but repeatedly, in a frantic, incessant chime. Her husband, Tom, was out of town on a business trip. She was alone with their 6-year-old son, Leo, who was asleep in his room down the hall. Her first thought was that it was a prank, some kids messing around, but the ringing was relentless, desperate. She got out of bed and crept to the living room window, peering through the blinds. On her porch, silhouetted by the dim porch light, stood a man. He was tall and thin, wearing a dark hooded sweatshirt that obscured his face. He wasn't just ringing the doorbell, he was pressing it with one hand while pounding on the door with the other. Sarah's heart pounded. She grabbed her phone and quietly dialed 911, whispering her address and the situation to the dispatcher. As she was on the phone, the man suddenly stopped. He took a step back from the door and stood perfectly still on her lawn, facing the house. Sarah held her breath. The dispatcher told her that officers were on their way and to stay on the line. The man on the lawn slowly lifted his head, as if he knew exactly which window she was looking from. Even in the darkness, she felt his gaze lock onto hers. Then he smiled. It was the widest, most grotesque smile she had ever seen, a slash of white teeth in the shadows. He raised a hand and gave a slow, deliberate wave. Not a friendly wave, a knowing one. A moment later, she heard the faint sound of sirens in the distance. The man's smile vanished. He turned and walked calmly to the edge of her property, disappearing into the darkness between her house and the neighbors. When the police arrived, they searched the entire area. They found no one. There were no footprints on the damp lawn, no sign that anyone had been there at all. The doorbell showed no signs of tampering. Everything was normal, except for one thing. When Sarah went to check on her son, she found his bedroom window wide open, a window that she was certain she had locked before putting him to bed. Leo was sound asleep, unharmed. But lying on the floor, just beneath the open window, was a single, muddy leaf. A type of leaf that came from a tree that didn't grow anywhere in their neighborhood. The police dismissed it, but Sarah knew. He hadn't just been on her porch, he had been closer, far too close. And the most chilling question that remains is not how he got in, but why he left the boy unharmed. What was he really there for?